Well, I asked, and you all asked, and now I promise to deliver what should be an answer to the lot of you. But before I answer, I would like to say thank you to you all for the 450 subs, nearing 500. I've never thought to get that high and close. But without any further ado, time to answer some questions, and I hope to at least satisfy your curiosity. What's your favorite edit, and why? This is a rather vague question, but if it is asking about mines, well, probably that James vs. Thomas and Friends verse. Those cursed nicknames I gave to those engines are just so outlandish and really kind of funny. Although I do apologize if it's not to everyone's taste. But if you do mean any other edits outside of my channel, well, there's a lot. There's not much I could really say, but it should mostly relate to those such as Godzilla and Transformer edits. What's your favorite season of Thomas and Friends? On a related note, what's your favorite episode? My favorite season from Thomas and Friends can vary, but I'll go with season 20 for its spectacular Henry episode, showcasing him in his purest form instead of just a wimp. For my favorite episode though, that's season 5, Something in the Air. I mean, it just stuck with me, especially with the growing tension of poor Henry, and that crash into the sea has always stuck with me. What is your favorite horror movie? And what is your favorite non-Toho kaiju film? I don't have many favorite horror movies, but I do remember fondly of Monster House. In fact, I even brought it back one time for my Halloween shorts. And for the second question, the non-Toho kaiju film is kind of difficult since it means not relating to Godzilla at all, though Cloverfield comes to my mind, and I remember being fascinated with its lore somewhat, even though I'm not really into it anymore. Favorite Godzilla movie? My most favorite Godzilla movie, if we are speaking about the Toho movie, would have to be the Heisei's era 1993 Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. This film has really grown to be my most favorite, whether it be the villainous Godzilla becoming a softer figure, Rodan as a surrogate brother sacrificing his life for an interspecies that's not even his own, the lifeless but imposing Mechagodzilla and his diverse weaponry, and last but not least, the sweet, innocent baby Godzilla with his adoptive mother. Would you make a top 10 favorite TTE characters? And who is your least favorite character of Thomas the Tank Engines? I believe I already did that with my ranking shorts before, but although yes, it's only focused on the main cast, and it didn't include any others like Diesel Tanks and some narrow gauge. Maybe some days I may get around to doing that. For the second question, now my least favorite character would be rather cliche and generic, as I am with almost everyone's feel on certain characters like Billy, Charlie, the Logging Locals, Nia and Rebecca. So right now, none I can think of at the moment. Who is your favorite Godzilla and Thomas the Tank Engine content creator? And second, do you know Gamera or Ultraman? If so, who is your favorite? For my most favorite Godzilla content creator currently, it's kind of a toss-up. But right now, since I'm more on the power scaling side of the fandom, I think I'll go with some, such as Godzilla King of the Monsters 5812, and for the Thomas the Tank Engine content creators, it can range between trans or Roblox games YouTuber, though some analysis channel like Unlucky Tuck and Usual Bloke Luke are also close too. And unfortunately, I don't really know too much, or too invested about Gamera or that much. But for Ultraman, I do remember seeing the movie Ultraman Rising on that website, the Flixer, if I can remember, after seeing my younger sister watching it. So it's what at least got me intrigued with him. So apologies Gamera, but I'm on Ultraman with this one. Number 1. Who is your favorite YouTube out of all of the ones you tagged? Second, what's your favorite game? Third, what's your favorite movie? Fourth, what's your favorite edit you've made? Fifth, what's your favorite horror game? For the first one, I don't have a lot of favorite YouTubers. Just any of them I can enjoy. The second one, mostly Roblox. For the third, well, mostly Godzilla and Transformers. For the fourth, well, I did kind of answer that before, but however, I would also put in Edward vs. James CGI versions, a few Godzilla edits. Oh, right now my most popular shorts, the Transformers one. For the fifth though, I don't have a lot of horror games. In fact, I don't really play horror games a lot anymore. Though, I still have a soft spot for FNAF, the Five Nights at Freddy's. I have the FNAF 2 game on my iPad too. Do you have a least favorite character / episode of Thomas? If so, what are they? Forgot to put this in. Since you mentioned Croven's works a few times before, what are your thoughts on him? The least favorite character questions was sorted answered before. Not much of a defined answer, as a lot would have been rather cliche and generic at this point. But for my least favorite episode though, like gosh, I really despise those who disrespect and flanderize certain characters to the point it's just really disgusting. And I'm pointing fingers to CGI episodes like Henry Spots Trouble and that stupid Emily in the Middle piece of crap. And for Croven's work, I gotta say, it's someone who can almost rival Unlucky Tug in terms of knowledge of Thomas the Tank Engine and the Railway series. Almost. This person, with his DeviantArt pages, helped with fixing misconceptions, exposing how bad the Brenner era can be, and bringing spotlights to some of the most underrated characters or pairings in general. If it wasn't for him, I would have never found my love for Henry, and I would have never been looking at Thomas and his friends as a whole with a different perspective if it wasn't for him. What's your favorite YouTuber? Who is your favorite character? not from Thomas and Friends or Godzilla. Top 3 favorite movies? Number 1 is answered before. So moving on. Outside of Thomas the Tank Engine and Godzilla, I still have other fandoms like Transformers and Five Nights at Freddy's to go to. But as of now, a few months ago, I have been retreading my grounds with Team Fortress 2. So from that game, either Soldier or Demoman, although it's mostly gameplay wise. For the third, again, I don't have a lot of favorite movies that I can think of, but I'll put some in my top 3. Transformers 1, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 1993, and Godzilla King of the Monsters. What inspired you to create a channel? Who do you think is the most overrated and underrated character in Bayverse Transformers? Honestly, a lot of who is strongest content creator, like ones from Transformers and Godzilla, that really helped to build my imaginations and help me decide on what I want to do if I ever started my channel. Eventually, Train Fan 234 was what eventually kickstarted me into doing it in 2024, and after that, I learned how to get and work CapCut on my laptop, which was the biggest opportunity for me. I mean, yes, it didn't work out well first. I couldn't really get things like extracting audios first, but I got the hang of it. For the second question, I haven't been keeping up with Bayverse Transformers a lot nowadays, but for the most overrated character in my opinion, that would have to go to Megatron. Like seriously, the guy keeps on dying and popping back up. Like, oh my god, he just loses his charm since the first movie. For the most underrated, in my opinion, I'll go with Kieran and Real Jack. Despite his ugly appearance, he did help contribute to the plot by providing characters with specialized weapons. I mean, if it wasn't for his tech, who knows if Sandvich Wiki could have taken down Starscream on his own. Do you know what the show Galaxy Railway is? And if so, what's your opinion on the show? I do apologize, but I don't know much about the Galaxy Railway, to put it bluntly. Maybe some days I could try and research it, and maybe even watch part of it, but as of right now, not yet. Who do you most relate to within the Thomas the Tank Engine cast? Henry the most. I with Henry do have times where I can get pretty grumpy, pretty cynical, and I do have a short temper, just as him. Like, check out Proven's work, The Many Misconceptions of Henry. That is Henry in his truest form, and it's how I relate to him. Favorite engine to bully in edits? Okay, kinda complicated answer, but nowadays I just do overkill edits as a joke. I don't really, without putting too much thought into it. And despite what you may think, I don't exactly hold too much grudge against too many engines to really bully them severely. And nowadays, I just sort of calm down and mellow out. But if you really want me to spit out, unfortunately, Donald and Douglas tends to be my list, especially before, often taking the brunt end of my distaste, and just for the sake of retaliating against the overratingness. And sometimes to this day, I do call them weird names as a remnant of that disdain, though some others like Edward and James aren't too far behind. And finally, the last questions, 5 of them. What is Croven's strength and speed? Duke vs Bertram, who wins and on what difficulty? Worst ending or worst endings of an episode of the series? Do you play Roblox? Do you speak Spanish? Apologies for the first question, but I'm not well acquainted with Croven, the one from Thomas 1, Edward 2, Henry 3. Like, I'm not familiar with his scaling yet. In fact, this goes with a lot of the fan-made engines, Supernaturals and OCs in general. Like, sure, I may get some. I am at least well acquainted with some, like Diesel 5, Alfred, and even Timothy. But the others like Invert, Demon 311, or the others, well, no, not now. For the second one, I'm pretty sure that it is against the rule of me for asking you all to not to ask about battle shorts or requests and all, but for this one, I'll bite. For me, Duke should win with maybe mid-diff due to Bertram's one-time appearance, severe lack of feats, and via Duke having better IQ, endurance, and more strength feats. For the third one, it's also kind of vague. You didn't really specifically say what an episode or a series is, but if you mean about Thomas and Friends, probably that dreaded A Shed for Edward episode, where, especially with the end, where it feels rather heartless, like everyone is happy that Edward is gone and are happy to throw him in the trash, just so they can have his birth for a nobody. And yes, if my background video didn't show yet, yes, I do play Roblox. If maybe a few months ago, if this was being asked to me a few months ago, not much. But now, as of currently, I've been playing Roblox a lot more due to a game of typical colors too. You could say it's a bit like a clone Team Fortress 2, but hey, what do I know? For the fifth one, and the final question, do you speak Spanish? Apologies. No, sadly, I don't speak Spanish. Well, hopefully, I hope I at least answered a lot of your questions with us enough thought and enough depth to satisfy your curiosity. And I do apologize. I'm not the most best talker, and I tend to stutter a bit, even with the script I typed out. But anyways, hopefully this should wrap things up. Thank you for the 400 subs. Oh, maybe some hopefully in the future I could reach 500 subs, though it depends.